Welcome, Jason.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, I am so rapt to have you. I love what you're doing. I don't even know where to start. You just make my heart so warm. And
Thank you.
all
I've got my
these-
kids running in.
look at these kids. Yeah. Well, we're
Apologies.
going.
This is homeschooling at its finest.
I know it's So for those, we're just going to get kickstart into it. You heard in the intro that Jason had one sick daughter, and it was his first daughter, Angela, and he's now got 3 kids. So we're going to forgive him for having 3 healthy kids running in and out of the studio. So
Appreciate it.
It's just it's I don't know. We're going to let's talk all about that stuff and how you felt. No, I think it's every parent's worst nightmare. I'm probably going to say that 10 times in the interview, but before we do get started, because I love diverting people back to the YouTube clip of this. Your background. So for you, all of you listening on just the audio version, you're missing out big time, because this is like a superhero den that Jason is sitting in. Where'd you get all this stuff behind you? It's fantastic.
So a volunteer of ours shared one of our videos in a Facebook group, and it just so happens that one of the members of this group was a producer for for the Living Room TV show for Channel 10. So she reached out to us and she said, "Hey, I love what you do. How can we help?" And my wife, when she called, she grabbed the phone and she said, "Give me that phone." She said, "Get all this stuff that you see in here now, get it out of my home and give me my home back." And it just so happens that we had a pool, above ground pool, that was falling apart, and a friend of mine helped me remove it and level the ground. So we had this space in the backyard. So Channel 10 said, "Look, here's the deal. We will come and do whatever we want with your garden. We can do whatever we want, but you get to keep whatever we leave behind." And we at that point wasn't doing too well financially, and we were like, okay, well, we can't do anything else. We can't leave it. It's just going to become a weed pit. You know what I mean? So we said, okay. And what they've built is this beautiful outdoor cabin that is basically the warehouse and the headquarters for SuperTee.
Oh, fantastic. Anyway, I absolutely love it. So what a we've all got these boring offices that we don't want to sit in, but you got the most super cool office. I absolutely love this. But before you were doing all of this superhero stuff, you were a tradie, so going to work, and probably you thought back then, this is my life. This is what I want to spend the rest of my life doing. And what was your life plan at that stage?
Yeah, such a good question. I honestly believe that I was a different person before we received the bad news about my daughter. So I had a joint sealing business, and a lot of people were wondering, well, what is joint sealing? I'm the guy that comes in after the tiler finishes in bathrooms, and I put silicone in all the corners to allow for that bathroom to move. Otherwise, it will crack in the ground. So it's a job I fell into. I mean, prior to that, I was 10 years in real estate over in the UK, and came over here when the GFC hit, and wanted to be around more, was tired of the long hours. So decided to try and get into the construction trade. And I was doing very well. I mean, we picked up big jobs, notably Wet and Wild theme park. Worked on the Opera House and the promenade that leads up to it. So we got some big contracts, and I was very much focused on, I want to be like the O'Brien's Glass version of joint sealing. I just want to build this empire. Yeah. Big house, big cars, big money, big lifestyle, that sort of thing I was chasing. And didn't life have other plans for me, Mm-hmm. So my daughter, when she was born, she was this cute, bubbly, chubby baby that just was so energetic. And then strangely enough, she looked like she was coming down with the flu or something like that is the best way I can explain it. She was very pale. She took long naps. She didn't want to eat anything, and whatever she ate, she would bring back up. All she wanted to do was cuddle. Something was definitely up. So we took her to a few different doctors, and it's interesting because every different doctor had a different response.
Mm.
You know, it might be teething, might be that she's got an infection, you know, take some antibiotics.
Yeah.
But my wife followed her motherly instinct. She was like, something's not right here. So we went to a third doctor,
Mm.
and he examined her and he said, look, not too sure what's wrong with her, but she's severely dehydrated. Take her straight to the children's hospital. And I was having a meeting with like a big client for a big job, and the phone call came in, and she said, "Look, I need you. I need you to come to the children's hospital now."
Mm.
And I said to that client, "Sorry, I've got to go." And what resulted was 4 days of staying in the hospital, where they tested Angela and they tested everything. I mean, our hospital system here is fantastic. I can
Mm.
never fault it. They do look after our kids. And then on the fourth day, every day that passed, and it was the longest 4 days I can ever
Yeah.
imagine, like, you know, time went by so slowly. They sat us down and they said, look, we know what's wrong with her. She has a very rare condition, a very rare form of cancer called
Mm.
histiocytosis. And it affects 1 in 100,000 children. Just to give you
Mhm.
an understanding, I live nearby Bankwest Stadium. I think the capacity is there about 36,000. So you could fill it up twice and still not get to her.
Yeah.
And I had to ask that question that every parent wants to know, like, how bad is this? I said, look, she has the rarest form of this, and she has tumors all over her body. I mean, they
Oh.
found tumors on her, in her liver, spleen, bone marrow, mastoid, which I didn't even know what that was. It was present on her skin. It was like the immune system attacking her in the form of lesions and tumors. And I just remember just staying silent, trying to process all of this. And I said, what are her chances of beating it? And they said, they looked me straight in the eye and they said, we'll give her a 20% chance of
Whoa.
survival.
Wow.
So that hit me. That was like, I remember I had my brothers in the room. I've got two brothers, and I grabbed his to say, I can't believe this. I can't believe this is happening. You know, please tell me this is a nightmare. Let me wake up. And it depends on how you then view the world after that, Karen,
Mm.
because
Mm.
it's either a 20% chance I'm still going to have my little girl, or there's an 80% chance I'm going to lose her.
Mm.
And what followed was nearly 3 years of treatment. And when I say treatment, whatever could happen in terms of challenges, my daughter faced it. Infections, reactions, chemotherapy, the type that causes your hair to fall out. Hospital became our first home. And then being able to bring her home felt like a holiday. That's how strange life became. So to answer your question, what was life like? It was very different. I was very success orientated, very focused on, you know, bringing in that money that a lot of people out there are thinking, you know, about perhaps. And overnight it was flipped. I didn't care about any of that. I had four boys working with me. I let them all go. I just apologized to people that I promised that I was going to help, and said to them, I can't do your job anymore. And life became a really tough balance of me getting up in the morning, going to the building site, trying to finish as quickly as I can to rush to the hospital. And I will spend as much time as I can there until Angela fell asleep. And then I'll come home and I'll do the laundry and maintain the house. But here's the thing, like a lot of parents in my situation, they're down in income, possibly too, depending,
Mm.
you know, if mum and dad give up their job to be bedside. So they're not only worried about their child now, they're worried about, can I afford the mortgage? Can I afford the council rate, you know, or the electricity bill just came in. So they're worried about finances. And I just wanted to know, well, what can I do to make a difference? Yeah. And I felt like such a useless dad, such a helpless, useless person. the images that are burned in my head are moments of when Angela would reach out to me saying, you know, Daddy, save me from these
Oh,
scary people, because she trusts me. I'm her dad and I can't do anything.
mm,
Handing her over to surgeons, you know, as she falls asleep, because she knows what was going on. You know, these kids, their default response is anybody that comes into my hospital room, they're going to hurt me, and they cry.
mm,
And, you know, handing her over to a surgeon, trying my best to, you know, smile. And I never cried in front of Angela. I just wanted her to know everything was okay. Leaving that room was a different story. When I left that surgery, and, you know, after she fell asleep and the surgeons could do their work, a nurse knew that I needed a hug. And she told me, she said, you did good. But in my heart, I feel like, no, I'm failing this girl. I can't do anything for her. So I noticed that, you know, these fun runs, these barbecue fundraisers, they all have a place. You know, there's no way that I'm going to cure this disease, but what can I do to help her?
mm,
And I just hated myself for being so dumb. You know, why couldn't I be smart, get a PhD and research, you know, something like that? Like, it's interesting what you think about at 2 o'clock in the morning when the machines are beeping and
yeah.
you're the only one awake, in a hospital room. But I noticed how hard it was to change Angela, whenever she was confined to a hospital bed, like a lot of kids in her situation do. And they've got wires and tubes and breathing tubes and heart monitors and all these cables that restrict them and confine them to that bed.
Mm,
And a lot of the time, they either wear a t-shirt that they just cut off and throw away. They don't want to wear a hospital gown because a lot of kids just don't like the look of it. You
mm,
don't want to look sick and feel sick. Or they just stay naked, you know, with a nappy or shorts on. And I remember trying to remove this t-shirt after one bad episode where the chemo caused Angela to throw up often. I would try and change this shirt, and I wish I had a pair of scissors or I could just rip it off. And I remember just waiting for the nurse to give me a hand, because no parent's going to touch their child with all these wires and
mm,
needles coming out of them. But a light bulb went off in my head. I was like, you know what? Why hasn't someone done something about this? And it's interesting when you've got time on your hands, you know,
huh, yeah,
you can think.
yeah.
And I was like, how would I do it? Now, for anybody out there listening to this, I honestly think that I'm the example of, if you've got no money, no network, no resources, but an idea, that's enough.
100%.
Because I had this idea of reinventing the hospital gown, but I didn't have money. So what do? The first thing I do, I reach out to my immediate network. And it's interesting, when bad luck befalls you, you find out very quickly who your friends are.
Mm,
I
yep.
can count on both hands the number of people that actually bothered to come visit us at the hospital,
Mm,
you know, and you'll be surprised when situations like that happen in your life. The people that you expect to be there won't be there.
mm,
So be prepared for that. And one person that came to visit often, a good friend of mine that I knew from teenage years, he wanted to find a way to help me. And I said, look, this is my idea. And he believed in me. He said, look, I'm in this with you. So he helped out financially. And we we started to go to work at trying to reinvent this hospital gown. And it was a challenge because we wanted to find someone that could help us make
mm.
it. I've never made a t-shirt in my life. I don't know how it works. But there was a lovely old lady that lived a couple of streets away. I think she's, you know, she's still there. And she's that lady that does alterations, you know, your school uniforms and whatever you need to
Yeah.
change. She took pity on me. She said, look, I'll help you. She helped make so many prototypes, the amount of times I knocked on her door. But the process was, we met a lot of families in the hospital. We met a lot of nurses. And because we were there for quite a few years, we developed relationships with them.
Mm,
And we said, hey, what if we were to do something like this, what would be the best way? Oh, you've got to have it this way. And we tried everything: Velcro, zippers, buttons, hooks. I think there was one with the
Yeah.
hooks or something like that. Just ties and that sort of thing. But we settled on little plastic press studs reinforced on a ribbon. And we tried it. My kids tried it out. And it was a winner. They could sleep in it. It was comfortable. You could easily remove it. And we were like, okay, I think this is the way to go. So then I presented it to the hospital. And I want you to imagine I walk in with dirty work boots, shorts, high-vis shirt, and I walk up to the administration office and I'm like, hey, why don't we give this out to the kids? What is this guy, you know? But the story of SuperTee doesn't stop there. It actually starts there because I want you to imagine, like, if you come out with a medical garment, there's a lot of red tape that you would need to go through in order to approve something like this.
Yeah.
We managed to do that because of the help of nurses and families that said, we want this. What SuperTee never started from the top down. It was always from the bottom up. It's
Yeah.
from families like me saying, we believe in this, we want this.
Yeah.
So then we started to manufacture them locally. And then we had a date set for our launch. And in June 2018, I want you to imagine this day. I walk into this hospital a long time ago, holding a little baby. Right? She was barely one, being told there's a high chance I won't ever walk out with her. I walk in to the same hospital that saved her back in June 2018, holding her hand and holding what is now called the SuperTee in the other hand. And we called it the SuperTee because my son, right, he spent a lot of time away from his sister while she was going through treatment scans and that sort of thing. And whenever she would go to hospital, he would assume that she's going away for a while before she comes home again. So I was looking after him at home one day, and he comes out of his bedroom, and he's a superhero fanatic.
Yeah.
He's got all the costumes. He comes out of his bedroom dressed up as a superhero, and I'm watching the TV relaxing. He comes out all stern with this look on his face. And just as a joke, you know, I'm paying attention to the TV. I said, oh, Batman, what are we doing today? You know, you're going to fight some crime? Who are we saving? And he mentioned his sister's name.
Wow.
I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
He honestly believed he was going to go save his sister. And when I researched that, I know. And when I researched that, Karen, there's actually a phenomenon, I can't say the word phenomenon or phenomenon. Called, yeah, I'm thinking of the song now. Called the Batman effect, or the alter ego effect, or the superhero effect. There's studies into this where you dress a child up in a costume, they take on that persona, they take on the characteristics. And I was loving reading all these studies. And it was conducted by a child psychologist in Minnesota and in America. What she did was quite interesting. They got a bunch of kids, different ages, and they took one into a room, and in this room was a glass box with a door and a lock on it, and it was locked. And inside this glass box was a toy. And they would say to the child, here's a bunch of keys. Try and find the key to unlock this, this box, and you can keep the toy inside. The trick was none of the keys worked. They just wanted to see how long this kid, until this kid gave up.
Yeah.
And what they found was, put a costume on a child, it doubled the amount of time.
Wow.
Why is that, do you think?
Are you asking me?
No, I'm asking you.
Because they actually believed they were a superhero, and they had a mission, and they had to achieve it. Yeah.
Absolutely right. What would Batman do? What would Captain America do?
Yeah.
They don't give up.
Yeah.
They keep fighting. They get the job done.
Yeah.
And I love this. And this superhero alter ego aspect we had to adopt. And that's where we got the name SuperTee. So I walk into this hospital in June 2018 with a medical garment disguised as a superhero costume.
Wow.
And I had this mum who has helped us with the manufacturing. she had a baby that had a congenital heart problem when he was born. He's fine today, but she remembers the torment she went through,
Yeah.
seeing her little baby try and survive with a heart problem. And she said, look, please allow me to buy the first 100. I want you to give out the first 100. And so we had all the news there, and it was quite an emotional day. And we had superhero costume entertainers. And fast forward to today, we are now nationwide. We supply as often as we can to Australia's sickest children. We're talking children facing terrible situations, situations like my daughter went through, where we provide these to them for free because of the love and generosity of other people out there. So if you ever wanted an example of kindness in this world, we exist because of kindness. We wouldn't exist any other way. But it's been interesting because we're not even scratching the surface in the number of kids that we can help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's up to 1 million kids that go through the hospitals around Australia every year. Pick a number of how many of them are facing life-threatening conditions. But if I may, I'll tell you a little bit about what makes this garment so special.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Yep. So it's a 100% cotton garment. It has non-toxic print. It has underarms exposed for the thermometer checks or the temperature checks that the nurses would do every 4 hours. That would often wake Angela up at night. Now, a lot of these kids, they're conditioned into believing that every time a nurse or a doctor comes into their room, they're going to get a needle or be hurt in some way. So their automatic default response is to cry. The more I think about this, it must be terrifying for a child that is confused and doesn't understand why these things are happening to them. And I always challenge the idea of how can a child, if you were to say to a child, be brave, they've got no understanding of that, Karen. They don't understand what that is. What do you mean? They've never had to be like that before. Yeah. But they understand what a superhero is, and they understand what a superhero does. Yeah. And now, by default, they're brave because they're now pretending. There's a beautiful
love
movie.
it.
There's a movie that I would encourage everyone to see. And if you haven't seen this already, you're welcome, for all your listeners out there. It's called Life is Beautiful. I think Roberto Benigni is the director. Yeah. And it tells the story about how a father during World War II and his son are put in a concentration camp. And the father knows exactly what's going on. But from the child's perspective, dad is saying to him, it's a game of hide and seek. You've got to hide whenever you see these soldiers in uniform. So from the child's perspective, it's a game now. And he said, if you keep playing this game, you get to see a tank at the end. Wow. And I want you to watch this movie because I think it captures what we are trying to do. Yes, there are harsh realities for what these kids face in hospital, but that doesn't mean that we can't, instill a bit of imaginative play. So if you were to ask, what does my charity stand for? It's for recognizing the bravery and imagination these kids have. They're not going through MRI machine. It's, you've got to stay still so that they can take pictures, and anybody that moves, they'll be able to find you, and you're in the spaceship, whatever way we can gamify, I think is a gamification aspect of it, just to get them through what they're going through. So I digress. These small little plastic press studs run on both sides of the garment, and they're plastic so they can go through an MRI machine. And the spaces in between allow for these wires and tubes to be nicely organized depending on where the machines were on either side of the bed. It has shoulder studs in case you have a feeding tube, breathing mask,
Yeah.
you know, feed, breathing tube, or you've just fallen asleep, you can just change your child without them having to move much.
Yeah.
But the cape, being a superhero costume, it comes with a cape, but that cape doubles as a bib.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, this garment is giving a bit more independence back to parents where they don't need the help of nurses. So we're hoping that there's a reduction in nurse calls,
Yep.
that there's a bit of a morale boost for the kids and also for the parents, because now I can control the level of hygiene. I can keep my kid clean. And it's very easy for kids to make a mess in a hospital bed. And I've got a reason now to play with my kid in the
Yep.
sense of, you know, they're a superhero.
Yep.
You know, I'm the sidekick. You know, we're going to go do this now, Superman, or whatever it is that you can imagine. And it comes in a reusable tin with a comic book, stickers, and they're actually reward stickers. So if they've had a needle or surgery, the stickers that say brave, strong, warrior, fighter, you know,
Oh,
things of that
wow.
nature. So
Wow.
I really believe that there's an opportunity here to revolutionize the way people look and feel in hospital.
Yep.
My eyes are set on replacing the traditional boring hospital gown that no one wants to wear. No one wants to look sick and feel sick at the
Yep.
same time.
Yep.
And I really think that this is a product that can go international. And
Mm.
I believe it will be.
Yeah. Wow.
Um, yeah, yeah.
Oh, I think it's marvelous, and I love all of the undertones. You know that we do it for this reason and for that reason, and this is how people feel, and you know all the psychological stuff. I think this is brilliant. Angela was one when she went into hospital in 2013, and you didn't start making them until 2018. Was she facing this diagnosis? I will have to say, by the way, Angela is now a healthy 9-year-old. So if anybody's worried about Angela, stop worrying. I mean, there are a stack of other kids that we do need to focus on, but the good news is that Angela did come out the other end, and she's a healthy young girl. So that's great. But over that 5 years, was she in hospital over that 5 years trying to get through? Like, did it take that long?
So her treatment went for about 3 years.
Yeah.
And then after 3 years, there is scans quite often.
Yeah.
So again, I can't praise our hospital system enough. The way they look after our kids, our very sick kids, they insist that, look, just because you finished treatment doesn't mean that you're out of the woods. We have to make sure you're okay. So for parents with sick kids, yeah, Angela left the hospital at around, or just over her past her fourth birthday. But then, you know, scans, tests were always being done. These were the things that my son was worried about, you know. And 5 years, Karen, is the mark. They say that if you can go 5 years post treatment, the risk of it coming back, and you know, obviously I'm a very superstitious man with everything that's happened to us. But they say 5 years is when you're hoping that things are okay now. You can stop stressing. But I will say this though, for any parent of a child that has cancer, or anyone that has cancer actually, as sad as it is for me to say this, cancer wins in one way or the other. And I really hate saying this, but unfortunately I believe it's true. Because I want you to imagine how I feel every time she says she's got a stomach ache or headache or something like that. My worry, my stress, my PTSD, so to call it, you know, it never leaves that parent because of everything that they've had to go through. So it's always a worry at the back of your mind that this terrible thing is going to come back. And it's interesting, on the night that Angela was diagnosed and the doctors left the room, I made her two promises. The first promise is, the moment that we're allowed to leave this hospital, I don't care how I'm going to afford it, but we're going to go straight to Disneyland.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, I'm going to find a way to keep this invisible monster away, because that's what it felt like. It felt like a bully that was hiding inside of her, that was trying to hurt her because, you know, I couldn't get my hands on it, you know. But I'm proud to say that Disneyland was amazing.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm now working on promise number 2, because the ultimate goal for SuperTee is not only to provide these 2 kids internationally and to have one available for every time bad news is given, like in the situation that I was in. The ultimate dream is to finance for research. I can't stress enough that research is, you know, is where it's at. I don't care of your political or religious beliefs. You know, people were giving me all kinds of opinions, you know, or it's a business, or Jason, you know, how can anyone believe in God when they see a child suffer and things of that nature? I'm not interested in any of that, because that doesn't, as far as I'm concerned, that doesn't help the situation. What I do know is research produces treatments that saves kids. And I think we all need to agree on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is my ultimate focus. Like, if you were just to understand the reason why I would work ridiculous hours and push myself to get things and projects over the line and everything done, it's because I want to one day get revenge on what this disease has done to my little girl and to so many other kids. You know what I mean? So it's a vengeance thing for me. You know what I mean? It's yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I get it. I lost my sister to cancer when she was 33, and she left behind 2 twin boys, age 7, and a girl, age 4, who
I'm
are
sorry to hear that.
Oh, that's okay. It is what it is, and it's you know, they're now young adults. But I hear you. You know, it's it never leaves you, and that ripple effect, you know, is just so. When you say it's a winner, you know, there's just so many things now that are so different in our family and in our lives because of that one thing. Not only losing her, but it tears families apart, you know, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, so I hear what you're saying. I hear it's just thank God you're doing what you're doing, and thank God that there are people like you who try to, you know, your mission is to take some of the sting out of it, you know, and hopefully make it better into the future. And we don't know what's around the corner. You know, it could be that last $1,000 that just is the thing that just finds the solution, or, you know, or the cure, or something that's going to make, you know, extend people's lives. We just don't know what's around the corner. And I think that every day we have to have the intent, you know, just to make the world better. And sometimes we can look at it like a futile thing. I'm sure you've had those days, you know, why am I doing this? It's never going to happen. Because we are human and these things eat at our minds, you know, but it's about picking ourselves up the next day and saying, you know what, my intention is to do this. And at least I can sleep at night, you know, and you never know what's around the corner. If I succeed, I'll be so glad that I kept going and kept going and kept going. And it's people's lives we're talking about. But since 2018, you've made 7,000 plus superhero costumes. I'm going to say superheroes. You've made more than 7,000 superheroes.
That's the way to say it.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
In the last, well, what's that, 3 years? That's amazing. That's 7,000 superheroes, or 7,000 plus superheroes that didn't exist and that wouldn't have existed, you know, if you hadn't have taken up this project. And you know, we don't know. Like we can say that, yeah, kids love to be superheroes and they love to dress up and they love to imagine, you know, that they're doing this, but you don't know, and you will never know, because it's impossible for you to ever catch up with those 7,000. You know, even when, let's say when rather than if, they become adults, you know, they do make it through, they get to be adults. What impact did that in the future did that have on their adult life, being a superhero when they were a kid? You know, we'll never know the answer to that, but you can only imagine that it's going to bring them so much hope and resilience and just a different view of life because somebody cared enough to make them a superhero. I think that's.
I think with me working, and honestly, if we would have met maybe 4 years ago and you were to say to me, you're going to be a CEO of a charity, I would have laughed at the idea.
Yeah.
Now look at me. But being the CEO of a charity, I'm privileged to come across stories, and
Yeah.
I honestly think I get to see the extremes of both sides of humanity. And if I may explain,
Yep.
I get to see the most beautiful side, and I get to hear about how evil people can be to kids.
Yep.
Heartbreaking.
Yep.
But, there are some stories that I can talk about, and there are some stories that I can't. But one story in particular, there's two. I'll talk about kindness. There's this one man. He's based in Queensland. And I keep his letter on my wall that I'm looking at right now above the laptop. And his name is Rob. And he writes a letter to me, and handwritten letter. I mean, who does that anymore? Who does handwritten letters?
Yeah.
And he says, "Dear Jason, I'm an 84, soon to be 85-year-old widowed pensioner. I read your story in a magazine, and I hope the enclosed will help your cause. All the best, Rob." And he encloses $100. Now, for a pensioner, that's a lot of money, Karen. And the reason why I like this letter is that this guy trusts me with his money.
Yeah.
So we pack the SuperTees and we send them out. Every now and then we're able to put a little card inside these little gift packs and say, "Hey, love and best wishes," so forth, whoever it is. And I'll put love and best wishes, Rob, or what have you. But within our community of parents, and we've got more than 520 parents, and these are parents looking after Australia's sickest kids. One boy was waiting for his SuperTee. It was such a pleasure to say to Rob, "Rob, meet Max." Max is, I think he's a 6-year-old boy fighting Crohn's disease. And it's just a beautiful exchange, of humanity, of kindness. And what this kid's going through and how Rob has sacrificed what is a lot to him to make a difference for someone else. I've had so many beautiful situations like that. I've had, at a convention once, we were at a Comic-Con, for instance. We had a booth there, and this boy walks into our stand. He's like, "Oh, what is this?" And I explained to him, "This is a hospital garment we give to kids, disguised as a superhero costume." This kid could have bought anything, Karen, at that Comic-Con. There was toys, there were collectibles, there were anything. He had $50 as his pocket money. He decided to help a sick kid.
Oh, you're making me cry. Wow. Wow. That's what life's about, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I've got to remember, it's like, okay, well, why do I do this? Yeah, there's a part of me, it's like, okay, I don't want people to feel what I went through, because it's interesting, the lessons you learn from suffering.
Yep.
I honestly believe that people that have gone through so much suffering, they will never wish that on anyone. And that's why they're so willing to help. And I honestly believe that when you go to hospital or experience hospital, you leave the hospital with always two things: the fear of ever coming back.
Yep.
And laser focus on what's important in your life when you leave.
Yep.
So when you ask me at the very beginning, what was I like before? Yeah, I honestly believe that there's going to be a point in my life when I'm an old man and reaching the end of my life. And I just want to know that I did all I can to make a difference for others. because I think that's the ultimate good that we as humans can do. You know,
Yeah.
regardless of how much money I have in the bank account, if
Yeah.
it's not helping benefit others, what's the point? It's just numbers on a bank sheet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my
Wow.
view.
Wow. Oh, I love it. And I read that you've got something like another, what was it? What did I say in the intro? Another 8,000 to still be delivered. So is that means you've got 8,000 made ready to be delivered, or you've got 8,000 orders in the backlog, or
Well,
what does that
I'm proud to say that that 8,000 is now lower. Don't know the exact figure, but we've had some help since then. You
yeah.
know, we had a fellow the other day call me up, really strange situations. You know, he contacted me through social media, and we arranged to talk. And he goes, I own a earth moving civil works business. Love what you're doing. I said, thank you very much. And I honestly thought he'll probably help me, you know, help 2, 3, maybe 5 kids.
Yeah.
Because I want to donate $50,000.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I was speechless. I was like, wow,
Wow.
that's a lot of money to him.
Yeah.
But he believes in what we do so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's interesting. It's like, you know, whenever you have situations like that, yes, some people might see the world as, you know, this cruel, unkind, cold place. I'm telling you, if you only look, there are beautiful, kind people out there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, yes, we've got thousands more that we would like to help before Christmas. We want to help them before Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas time is always an interesting time because that's that in tax time, strangely enough, are the 2 times that people all of a sudden remember, oh, I want to give.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting thing because the end of the year is approaching, and I think it also reminds people that it's that season of giving.
Yeah.
So we would love that every child be given one for free. I don't want the parents to pay for it, as we mentioned, they're going through enough. But I've got plans for this, Karen. I've got ideas for an adult version,
Yeah.
adolescent.
Yeah.
So I'm always being asked for, you know, we only help children between the ages of 1 to 12 years old at the moment. I want to expand the range. I've got ideas for different types of capes, different designs. You'll probably see in the video here. I've got a princess dress behind me. I
Yeah.
can't
That's
wait
it.
to come out with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got sporting versions. There's a lot that we can do here, and I'm super excited for the future and the potential of this. You know, I live and
Mm.
breathe this. This is my hobby. This is my job. This is my passion.
Yeah.
And I just, yeah, I love seeing the community grow. You know, people like yourself wanting to cover it, share the story, and that's what we are. We're storytellers. We join
Yeah.
those that want to help with those that deserve all the help there is.
Yeah. So there are so many ways people can help, and you've got this downloadable PDF, you know, that's oh no, actually it was your media kit that you sent to me, but people can still get hold of this, you know, like opportunities for corporate, you know, to support you, like volunteering, because you know you need more volunteers to pack stuff. And I know COVID presents some issues, but you know there are still opportunities. You know, warehouse support, hospital visits, and fundraising opportunities, you know, for corporates and conventions to have fundraising and in-house dollar matching campaigns. Shop, you know, there's all kinds of stuff that people can do, and professional services that people can assist you with, and sponsorship and donations. And I mean, I love what you're saying. Like, there's so many ways to help, but I love what you're saying about all these people that trust you with their money. And I also run a charity. We support people in Africa, you know, build schools and have sponsorship and stuff. And there's something quite special about people trusting you with their money. You know, that to me says the ultimate. And I think, you know, when you talk about that guy with the earth moving equipment, you know, $50,000, that's incredible trust. On the other hand, this kind of thing can't be done on $100. Oh, it can be from one person for that, Rob to help Max. I mean, that's just absolutely beautiful. But this kind of large scale takes a lot of money. So if there's, any corporates listening to this, or, I don't know whether I'll reach them through this, but if there's anybody who can help you, this is amazing. And you've got this goal to help 28,000 of the sickest kids. And I mean, where does that 28,000 come from? Where is that per year, or is that Australia, or like where does that figure come from?
Yeah, we have a list of hospitals that we supply to regularly. Well, we try to. It's a very difficult conversation when we deliver to a hospital, but we don't have any local support or any support in order to resupply. It's heartbreaking for us to say, sorry, we don't have any more to give you. But within that list of hospitals, we ask them what's the most that you, in order to, because the nurses know the kids, they develop relationships with them. They know exactly who to give the SuperTees to. So when we get a figure from each one of them, put it together, 28,000, and that's just the minimum. That's not even scratching the surface in terms of how many kids we can help. So that's our goal: 28,000 kids to be turned into superheroes, and to give us the ability to make more of them. You're right, COVID did pose a lot of problems. Before COVID, we used to have packing events. I can't pack these all myself, Karen. I need help. So we would reach out to community organizations, to corporates, and say, hey, you've got space, you've got staff, we need volunteers. Can you help us? And we would go to their place of business, or a community hall if we could find one. We'll set up the tables, and we'll get a conveyor belt process going. And it's an awesome experience. It's a team building experience. We also have a lot of fun because these volunteers can see they're touching the very thing that is making a difference for these kids. We invite costume entertainers. So, you'll be packing next to Wonder Woman or something like that,
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing is that we also invite families that we've helped in the past, and we ask them to come along, meet the people that are volunteering, people that want to help you. And they share their stories, and it's just a beautiful exchange because, your back hurts, your feet hurt from standing up all day, and you hear their story, and you're like, I don't care. Before COVID, we used to visit the hospitals. We would turn up with these superheroes dressed, like they've just walked off a movie set.
Wow.
Ridiculously precise costumes. And I want you to imagine, you're walking down this hospital ward room with me, and we turn up outside this door, and the nurse tells us the name and age of this child. And we open the door. Oh, sorry, there's a knock on the door. Door opens. This child looks up. That reaction, we have a special name for it, and we call it the moment. That's the moment where that child who's bored, not much to do in a hospital bed, looks up and sees Captain America, Captain Marvel, Iron Man, Spider-Man. And the story is this. We've taken the day, these superheroes have taken the day of fighting crime and saving the world to come meet their hero, which is this little kid.
Wow.
And they get super excited. They say, oh, this is Johnny. We found him. Oh my God, I can't believe we've been wanting to meet you so much. Hey guys, we found them. And they all get excited. And it's such a beautiful thing to witness. And they say things like, hey, you're my hero. Can I have your signature? Can I have a photo with you? And it confuses the child. They're like, hold on. But you're Captain America. You're the superhero. Yeah, but you're Captain America's superhero. You're my hero.
Oh God. Wow.
And it's just for that moment, can we escape what this kid is going through?
Yeah.
And have them believe just for a moment that maybe they're extraordinary. Maybe that they have special powers. And I tell you, Karen, hand on my heart, the stories that I come across from these parents and what these kids overcome to just stay alive, It's
Oh,
supernatural. They are superheroes.
yep, yep.
So I appreciate so much you having me on the show. Thank you for allowing me to share the stories and the privilege I have to help kids every day. Of course, it is a challenge. I have my ups and downs. Some days it's tremendously stressful. But don't be surprised if one day you see a kid walking down the street wearing a superhero costume.
The best day ever.
and if you do, and it looks like that child, may be unwell or maybe in a wheelchair, but they're wearing a superhero costume, it'd be great if a stranger can acknowledge them as a superhero.
Yeah. I tell you what I do every time I see a kid in a superhero costume. I say, "Hey, Batman," and
That's it.
the smile on their face is just.
That's it.
Oh, well, no, thank you for coming on the show. This is amazing. Look, people can please give by giving a donation, or if you're part of a corporate organization, have a big fundraising day, or just do some good. I know that there are so many corporate business corporations, that just need to give money to for good. They just need to tick a few boxes. What a perfect way to help. And if some of the employees get involved and do stuff, I'm bloody blown away by this. I love you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you. Thank you.
Love.
Come along, be part of this. We're looking. We need a community. This is not going to survive without the help of others.
Yeah.
So anybody listening, please join us. Like us on Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
Rally the troops. Do a fundraiser, like you said. We can't do it by ourselves.
Yeah.
There's that old adage, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
My question is, well, what happens when that child gets sick?
Yeah.
We need a community. We need everybody to help somebody, so
yeah.
It'll be great. You can check us out online. Our website is SuperTee. That's super as in Superman, TEE, one word, .org.au. Or you can contact me. My email is jason@supertee.org.au. Would love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, just cheer us on. If you can't donate, just cheer us on. I hope it's not too much to ask to just like or share us in a Facebook group you're part of. Spread the word. You don't get to see the knock-on effect of that, but I do.
Yeah.
When someone says, "Hey, someone shared this," and I wanted to ask, how do I get involved? Just by that few clicks, So, yeah.
Well, I love it. Now, I do have a get off the bench question for you. This podcast, I do it for everybody, but this podcast is get off the bench to inspire people to take action, exactly like you've done. I mean, people don't have to do it as big as you, but you've done it, and it is absolutely super inspiring. Well, what advice would you give to anybody thinking that they have a good idea, because that's what you started with, just an idea, and you said you had no money, no resources. Same for me. But if somebody's got an idea and they're thinking that they can make a difference, but they've got no clue where to start, what advice would you give them?
I think the best thing that I can give is an analogy. Okay. And it's interesting you asked this question, because I came across, again, a story. And I want to use the analogy of how a Mexican wave starts.
Yeah.
How does a Mexican wave start, Kieran?
One person stands up and looks like an idiot.
I think 50% of the battle is for you just to say, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do what I can with what I have, where I am, with, whoever is around me. So don't be afraid to share your plans. Okay. Yeah. These kids were at a football match, and they were saying to each other, we want to start a Mexican wave. Well, how do you do it? Let's tell everybody around the seats where we're sitting, we want to do a Mexican wave. So if you've got an idea, there's someone in your immediate circle or someone in your network that might not be able to help directly, but might know someone. And that's what happened to me,
Yeah.
And then from that small group, they all stood up because they believed in these two kids.
Yeah.
And you know what? The first time they did it, it didn't work.
Yep.
And then the second time they did it, it didn't work. The third time was interesting. They did it and it started very, very weak. And then it started to gain momentum. And it started to make its way around the stadium. And then by the time it came back to those kids, it was the whole stadium.
Everyone did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love
Just
it.
do it, guys. Just do it.
That's right. And when I said idiot, I wasn't meaning that in a bad way, but this is why we don't do things, is because we fear we're going to look like an idiot. You know, we fear we're going to be rejected. We fear we're going to be criticized, you know, and all that sort of stuff.
I've copped all of that. I've been told I'm an idiot. I've been told that it's a bad idea. I've been told that it would never fly. I've heard it all.
Yeah.
But I also believe that crazy people or genius, there's a saying, maybe you can help me out here. You have to be crazy to believe you can change the world, because it's often those are the people that do it.
Exactly. Yep, that's exactly right. And I 100%. And I just think go for it. You know what? And what's the worst thing that can happen? People aren't going to come bloody shoot you. You know, you're just going to, you might fail, but failing is fantastic, because, you know, it's kind of, well, that didn't work. Now I can refine it. Now I can get it better. You know, it's no, I love it. I have absolutely loved this conversation. You go.
If I can add one more thing,
yes,
if I can, for the people out there, you know, I've been on the sidewalks. I've been on the streets trying to raise funds. You know, I've been bucket shakers, talking to people, trying to raise funds for what we do. Yeah. And when you do that, you encounter so many different types of people. I've been told, you know, good on you, keep going. I've had a lot of kindness, but I've also had a lot of people tell me off for what I do. You know, so you're going to encounter in your life people that believe in you, and people for some unknown reason, and it's not your concern, but they just don't like you. Yeah. You know, and it's not your task or job to change that. If they don't like you, they don't like you. Yeah. But there is a poem from Theodore Roosevelt that I read to myself whenever I'm feeling like, you know, I'm being picked on or singled out or being made fun of. Yeah. It's called Man in the Arena. Yeah. Okay. Read that poem, and that would tell you, you know, not to be too concerned about those that aren't in those trenches fighting like you are. Yeah. I don't know the poem exactly, but I say that to everybody that I'm working with Get Off the Bench, is that the people criticizing you are not the ones in the ring. They're not the ones in the arena. Don't worry about those. Because those people that are in there with you, they're not criticizing you. They're bloody picking you up and they're helping you. So I guess it's along those lines, but I'm going to look it up. But I love it. So that I always finish with, where can people find you? You've already said that. It's www.supertee.org.au. Jason with SuperTee is also on Facebook, also on Insta under the SuperTee Project. Actually, Facebook is the SuperTee charity, and on LinkedIn, Jason Sotiris. And all of those links are going to be in the show notes. But Jason, thank you so much. As far as I'm concerned, you're the superhero, you know, bringing superheroes to life. And it's like you're putting them in the little, you know, like the little, what are they called? Like the water monkeys, you know, like you put them in, add some water, and superheroes popping up everywhere. I can't think what they're called, monkey, you know, those monkeys, but anyway. Analogy.
Yeah, sea monkeys. But you're just popping little superheroes up everywhere, and the world needs more of that, you know, and that's a bit of analogy in itself. But I just think you're doing exceptional work, and it's all from kindness and selflessness and just wanting to make a better world, and spurred on by a situation of adversity, and which it's a shame that this happens often, you know, to make people realize what is actually in them, you know, that they can bring to the world. But I nothing but admiration for you, for what you're doing. I think you're a bloody genius and a bloody inspiration. So thank you so very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me.
My pleasure.